Hi everyone. So we meet again. This week we're going to cover information searching and analyzing skills. This is actually a continuation of the previous topic, which is annotated bibliography. And it is going to be very useful when you would like to do the second assessment, which is the article analysis. Okay, without further ado, let's take a look at the topic. Previously, in annotated bibliography, you were given articles, okay, to analyze. Um, so this time, in this topic, you are given the chance to search or to look for your own articles. The articles should be something that you prefer, something that you fond of, yeah, when it comes to discussion. Okay, so in searching for articles, there are several strategies. Yeah, so we're going to look into this in this topic. There are many places to look for information. However, it is very useful to identify the strategies to make the finding easy. It is very good to identify the sources before we go and search for the articles or the references. Yeah. So the first thing that we have to do is we need to define the question. In your case, what you need to do is you need to understand the instruction, because when it comes to learning or searching for articles in this course, so it means that you are required to do article analysis. So the thing that you need to consider would be, one, you need to understand what is asked or what is instructed, and then you need to look for a topic. In some cases, you were going to be given a theme, but it is your own responsibility to narrow down the topic. So you need to narrow down the topic so that you can search for the articles, the suitable topic for the articles. And then you need to develop the main ideas. So from these articles or the topic that you have discussed, so you need to consider what would be the main ideas. The next step will be to expand keywords. Yeah. So this is another way of broaden the scope of searching. What you need to do is you need to look for the synonyms. So sometimes when you don't have the words yourself, what you can do is you can refer to the thesaurus. So that would be the easiest way of searching for words, yeah, different words with the same meaning, so that you can still get the article on the same topic, even though they are not having the same word of title, wording of title. And then what you need to do is you need to refine and repeat. So this is when you filter your search. This allows the matching results. So sometimes you need to narrow down the topic, because having a very broad searching will not lead you to what you are searching. For example, if you look into English proficiency, so there are so many subtopics going to be given to you. There are going to be so many top titles of articles that you're going to be exposed with. So you need to be specific, whether it is in reading, writing, listening, or speaking. Okay, and then you combine the keywords. Combining the keywords, you can apply the Boolean operators. So we're going to look into Boolean operators right after this. Okay. Okay, so Boolean operators help to narrow or broaden your search. So it depends on these three words, and, or not, which they help you to connect keywords or concepts. So let's take a look at the examples or explanations on Boolean operators. Okay, so when you use the word and, you actually would like to focus on finding the results containing both terms. So only if the article has these two words, it will be provided to you. Okay, for example, if you are searching for Picasso and Mona Lisa, if you use the word and, so it means that without the word Picasso, so the article will not be shared with you. if you don't have the word Mona Lisa, so the art, and you have Picasso in it, so it's not going to be shared with you. So you only, and is actually the bridge to get these two two topic shared. Okay. Now, if you use the word or, it is actually an option. So either, having either or both of these terms will still provide you with the results. Okay, for example, like the word behavior or behavior. So this is very important, because sometimes if you don't use the word or, they just give you how the word is spelled. For example, like the behavior, VIOR is American spelling. So you want to have, or you want to make a very broad search. So you don't mind of having VIOR or VIOUR. So the word or, either these two words, they still can be shared or can be the results. So global warming and greenhouse effect. So even if like one of these two terms are missing, one of these two terms is missing, so you still can get the articles related. It's either global warming or greenhouse effect. So if you look at the description, so both, if it's in behavior or behavior, the VIOR, so all of them are still going to be projected or shown to you. Okay, if you choose to use the word not, okay, so find record containing the first term but not the second term. So if you have fisheries, not Alaska, so all of the results of search will be focusing on fisheries, and they are not going to provide you with any fisheries related to Alaska. Okay, the same goes to textile industries, not cotton. So anything that is there is the word cotton mentioned, so it is not going to be provided or included. Okay. All right. So it is very important to understand the sources of information. Previously, you know how to combine, how to get the topic, to search for the articles or the sources. It is very important to understand the sources of information. Okay. In academic writing, there are two sources of references. The first one would be primary, and the second one would be secondary. So primary is actually when you collect your own data. Okay, you do the investigation yourself, and you can choose three mediums. The first one will be document, and then you can have observation, and you can also conduct survey. But one thing that you have to remember about primary sources would be it is your own conduct. So when it comes to document, you need to collect all the document yourself. Okay, when it comes to observation, should be your observation, or you have your own team or crew to collect the observation data. The same goes to survey. You want to get fresh or original sources or data, so you will conduct your own interviews, or you can distribute the questionnaire forms to the respondents in order for you to get the information or the data. Okay, but the one that we're going to be exposed with this semester would be the secondary sources. So secondary sources would be the sources that you get from other materials or other source. Okay, so they can be publications, government documents, brochures, newsletters, annual reports. So they are not originally from you. You get it somewhere. And the results, the content is developed so that you can share the information. Okay, the same goes to books, for example, because when we're talking about publications, it is always related to books, or it can be, in fact, websites. They can be the source of secondary sources, in which you are actually taken the information or data from the available source or sources. So the document, it can be through footnotes, endnotes, or reference list. So in order for you, for example, in a journal article, yeah, in a journal article, so in order for you to expand more sources, what you can do is you can refer to the footnotes or sometimes the endnote, and the easiest way would be to refer to the reference list. So there would be the list of references that you can get to widen your search of articles or the information related to your research, for example. All right, so these are the examples when it comes to secondary sources. It can be in terms of database. So when it comes to database, the ones that are very familiar would be article, journal article. So ProQuest, you can look, it is ProQuest Research Library. You can go for Emerald, JSTOR, Springer Link. So these are the sources for database that are very familiar when it comes to languages or English, to be specific. Okay, and sometimes if let's say, because when it comes to database, so you need to be registered. In your case, you're not going to have any problem since you are students of high institution, so you are automatically registered through your email address, the university email address, yeah. So you are entitled to get this source. If let's say you don't have any source or connection or opportunity to go for the database, so you can go for free in web search engine. So you can go to Google or Google Scholar, Bing, Yahoo, all these website search engine, they are very familiar. And one thing that you have to remember about going or searching in the web, free websites, would be the information or the sources would be sometimes they are not high in quality. So that's why it is given free to you, or they are provided by new researchers. So in terms of quality, there should be more focus on, I mean, filtering, looking into consideration of selecting the sources, yeah. Okay, and other materials will be books. Books can also be gotten from a database, and sometimes it can be, you can get free books, online books, yeah, from the website or web search engine. Okay, and newspapers and magazines, they are also included under others. But considering that they are having very what we call it, very academic writing, because this is when we talk about academic context, so we have to focus more on using the materials that are given recommendation, for example, like Reader's Digest, National Geographic, you know, all sorts of magazines. They are very educational, so they are highly recommended as compared to the other tabloids. You can also search for thesis and dissertations. So these are the sources of the research from students, postgraduate students. Usually they are from, you know, PhD students or master students. So however, they can still be considered as references. Now, these all sources required evaluation. You need to look and consider or value the content and the information of the source before you consider of taking the source as your reference. Okay, there are 5 elements that you need to consider. We call them CRAP. C stands for currency, R for relevance, A for authority, A also for accuracy, and P for purpose. Okay, so currency, current, so it means that how current is the information. It's supposed to not be less than 5 years backward. So the oldest would be 5 years back. So this is 2020. So hopefully you can get the sources, the earliest from 2000 okay, 15, okay, or 14, 15. All right. And relevance, how far this source is related to you, because when it comes to the second assessment, you need to consider of a topic, because this is a group work. So all of you need to look for an article under the same topic. So what you need to do is you need to ask yourself how much this source or article is relevant to the topic that you have decided. Okay. Authority, related to the source of information. So this is about the author. You need to make sure that the author is known. So that is why when it comes to Wikipedia, for example, we not encourage you to look or search the information or the sources from Wikipedia or anonymous website owner, unless they are a professor, an educator. So okay, that because we can always get back to the source. Okay, you need to make sure that they have the author or at least the publisher and the source, where it is from. Is it from the original source, is from the book, or is it from the websites, or magazines, newspapers? So the source should be very clear. And then the accuracy, the reliability of the source. How much, is there any other sources when it comes to the content? Has the author used any sources to refer to when it comes to the elaboration of the content, or to support the ideas or the opinion in the text? References, are they cited properly? Are there any strong evidence of support? And languages or language. So has the author shown good procedure or process of writing and presentation of language? Or is it, in terms of grammar, is it wisely presented? Okay, and lastly is going to be purpose. So reason for the information to exist. So why exactly the researchers or the authors chose to write the article? So it should be very clear. So is it just based on facts or opinions, or the mixture of facts and opinion, or it's just a propaganda? Propaganda in the sense that it's just a created information, because when it comes to opinion, it is something that you can support with ideas. But when it comes to propaganda, it's just a created things. For example, if you say that coronavirus is just an illumination, something related to that. So you need to have a very solid proof, so that it's not going to be just propaganda, or it's just merely your opinion. Okay, now since you are highly encouraged to use the articles from journals when it comes to your article analysis later, so I'm going to introduce you to the elements in the article, so that you are not surprised, or you are used to what you need to be doing after this. Okay, so the first part in an article would be introduction, and then you're going to have the literature review, methodology, you have findings and discussion, conclusion, recommendation, and references. So I'm not going to explain on references, because we've done with references, and I know that all of you are very familiar with references, because you already have the experience of writing references. So we're going to focus on the other 6 elements. So let's take a look at them one by one. Okay, so introduction would be the first part. Sometimes it is not written as introduction. Could possibly the author would write something like background information or background of research. Um, so what you will get from the introduction section will be the background of the study. So it's a bit about why exactly the topic or the issue is raised. And then the statement of the problems, what would be the topic, what would be the problems that is occurring or that occurs, which leads the author to come up with the research or the article. So objectives, purposes, why exactly, what is the intention of the author to write the paper, and then you have the significance, why exactly it is important for the author to share about the study or the content of the article. All right, so moving on to the literature review. Literature review also a part where it is not always written as a literature review or review. Sometimes the author will choose a more specific topic to replace literature review term. Okay, so it depends on what would be the topic of the article, what would be the study it's about, what would be the theory that is used in the research or when writing the article. So those will be the possible title for the literature review. But all in all, they are talking about the review of the literature. So what is actually you can see or you can get from literature review? So a literature review is actually a part or an account of what has been published on a topic. So basically it is talking about something that has been done previously. So if let's say now the authors coming up with a new research. So previously, what would be the research that have been done by other researchers? So the existed ones, yeah. So it is a matter of sharing the success or the failure of other researchers, and it also a good reference to develop the content or the search in the current study. So a literature review must do these things. One, be organized. Okay, so and directly related to the thesis or research question. So it should be because if you learn on research, constructing a research proposal or title, so you need to come up with research questions. What are the questions, possible questions to answer at the end of the research? And they ask possibly several questions that the researchers or the authors would like to answer. So that is why they are actually writing the article. So synthesize results into a summary. So it is also a part where the current researchers or the current authors are sharing. They would like to see the results. They want to compare the results, what have been done and what have been achieved so far. Identify areas of controversy in the literature. What are the topics should be highlighted, or what are the topics that are very common, so you can avoid that part so that you can go for something that is new or fresh. Because usually we want to, when it comes to research or writing an article, we would like to focus on things that have not been explored yet or not much of exploration. So formulate questions that need further research. So here, when you have a collection of reviews, you will know which part that has not been covered. So this is what we call as research gap. So it will lead you to look into the part that has not been discovered, and you can come up with a new or fresh topic or research for your own study. All right, so another part will be methodology. So methodology will be a discussion, okay, of the underlying reasoning with particular methods we use. So there are methods, there are ways of collecting the data for your studies or for your research in order for you to come up with the article. So it answers the question how, the procedures, the process that the researchers carried out, They can be questionnaire, they can be observation, they can be interviews, documentary collection or analysis. So there are many ways, yeah. It can be qualitative, it can be quantitative. So what did you include in your research would be the strategy. How did the researchers strategize when it comes to doing the research from the beginning until the end? So because when it comes to research, it is always related to a very standardized procedure or a very organized procedure. Instrumentation analysis, so how actually the results are analyzed, how the findings are extracted. So these are the part, yeah, methodology is actually the part. So ethical consideration, ethics. So when we conduct a research or the researchers conducted a research, what would be the things that they considered? For example, like the agreement letter. So when you would like to ask for people to answer your or fill up your questionnaire form, so you need to ask for their consent or agreement. So you need to come up with a letter first or an agreement page, okay? And why you want to do that research. So why actually will also need to be included in the methodology. So why exactly you choose such procedure instead of others? Why actually you use this sample, these particular people, why you involve these particular people or sample, you call them, uh, instead of others. So there must be reasons behind all the choice that the researchers have made. Okay, and last part would be, second last part would be findings and discussion. Sometimes author, they combine the findings and the discussion part, or sometimes they merge the part. Okay. Um, uh, so when it comes to findings, it's about reporting the data. So exactly, if it's 300, usually when it comes to statistics, for example, if it's stated that 300, so they're going to mention the 300 is higher or lower. And then most of the time they present the statistics, or in some cases like qualitative research method, usually they will present in terms of elaboration, yeah. And lastly, discussion, this is the interpretation. So if let's say the statistic says that A is the highest among all, so here in the discussion it will discuss why exactly A is higher as compared to the others, or why people choose. And usually in the discussion part, author will support with evidence from other sources or references to support the results. And provide explanation, yeah, this is what I mentioned, yeah, to clarify the results, the findings that the researchers got so far. All right, so the next parts will be conclusion and recommendations. Findings and conclusion, sometimes findings and discussion, conclusion and recommendations also merged. Yeah, it depends on the author. Sometimes they merge and sometimes they let them stand alone. So in conclusion, it is just a summary part, whereby this section sums all the key points. So it's about recapitulating the information, what have been discussed earlier in the content. So it's just about re-mentioning or re-highlighting. And usually the conclusion should highlight in a way that to relate directly to the aims. So what would be the objective of the research or the project? Okay, so it relates with the introduction at the beginning. So indicate the extent to which the aims have been achieved. So is it a successful? Is it a success? Has the researchers or the authors achieved what they want to get? Summarize the key findings. They also briefly explain about the findings and the discussion. Acknowledge limitations. What will be the drawbacks of using certain method, for example, and what would be the problems they confronted? That would be under limitation. Okay. And lastly, significance. why is it useful for others to refer to their work. Yeah. And lastly, recommendations. So these always address limitation, highlight the limitation, so that they can extend some ideas on, or give ideas on how to proceed with the topic, but um, um, in other parts which has not been explored or has not much been discussed yet. Okay. All right, so I really hope that all of you understand on what we have discussed. So previously we discussed on how to search for the information and how to choose the proper keywords. So you can use Boolean, you can consider of using and, or not, so that you can either broaden the scope or narrow down the scope. Okay, and next we also looked into the context, the components of articles, and how to search for the articles. What are the things to consider when searching? So here comes the CRAP, the CRAAP, currency, relevance, accuracy, one more, and P for purpose, authority. One will be the authority. So these are the 5 elements that we need to consider when looking for sources. So I really hope that these notes and lecture is useful for you, and do not forget to key in the attendance. So see you in the next class. Bye.